a great thing. Like I look at those statistics that we're talking about there, and that gets me very excited. I know I love talking about podcasts and social audio and Lemur and stuff, but I get very excited because the opportunity as a content creator is amazing. There's no competition in comparison with all the other platforms. There's 2 billion Instagram profiles. There's only 5 million podcasts. And as we mentioned, there's what, 750,000 of those are actually producing more than 10 episodes, which is incredible. So if you're listening to this and you want to start a podcast, there's never a better time, because the consumption rate, as we mentioned, the market is blowing up. The audience is there and they're desperate for content. They're desperate for new podcasters, new conversations. And that's how we can help you get started with Lemur.
What would be your advice to somebody who's sitting there now and going, okay, that's a great podcast. Yeah, but sure, look, what would I be talking about? Who wants to listen to me? What's, you know, there'll be no audience for what I'm interested in. And on that note, I was only talking to a friend of mine 2 weeks ago, just when I came back from holidays, and he said that his cousin, this is a very long-winded roundabout way of saying that basically his cousin was in the job seekers market. So he's looking for a job. Somebody told him, just start a podcast, start talking about what you do. And what did he do? Graphic design. He started doing a podcast with a fellow graphic designer. And after, I don't know, I think it was the 6th or 7th episode, he actually interviewed a man that eventually hired him.
Yeah.
Because the guy saw that, you know, how interested he was in what he does and what he's, you know, very well versed at, and didn't even have to do an interview for the job. He just gave him the job. after the podcast. Now, I know that's not going to happen for everybody, but it's just an example of not having to be a Joe Rogan or not having to be somebody that, you know, is out there and comparing yourself to other people. There is an audience for what you're interested in, and you just have to, you know, do what you're good at and talk about what you're interested in, and the audience will come to you.
Well, that's the answer there, Terry. Well, one of the answers is, what are you interested in? If you have a passion for something and you love talking about it with your mates anyway, go down that route. There's loads of different styles of podcasts that you can do. You know, you can be a serious business one. You can be talk about movies. You can talk about graphic design. That's brilliant, because that was a passion for him. He had an objective, which is a great suggestion from his friend to actually start a podcast and talk about it. But that's one of the amazing things about podcasting from a business perspective. And we found this over the years from creating our own content, but in particular with Lemur, from being out and about creating on-the-go audio at networking events. They're amazing for networking, for building relationships in business, and not even in just in business, but relationships in general. Your network is your net worth, as they say. And it's a great excuse to reach out to someone in an industry or a genre you're interested in and say, listen, I do a podcast about, you know, in my case, just conversations with entrepreneurs or business people, and say, I'd love to talk to you. And for the most part, people say, yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to have a chat, you know, because as we mentioned, podcasts, as much as people think they're oversaturated and booming, they're not. And most people have not been asked to be on a podcast, especially in certain genres. So it's a great opportunity to do that. And the other bit of advice is, of course, get in touch with us and we can help you with strategy.
Along the way, yeah.